Nope, I had a good laugh at that one, Dr. Jones. Yeah.
That's like, we're doing that 3 times.
I did.
You'll see about that.
I mean, it's like.
Like everything else. Like,
Yeah, probably because of all the things I'm seeing.
Let everyone know what's up.
You want like $7.
Okay.
That is interesting. I don't know. Yeah, I've heard a lot about it. Shenanigans, yeah, dedication to it.
You know why?
We actually
Just like being friends with someone that has it. And like, he was like, yeah, like you can use it for the summer. He's like, all right, sounds good.
Ready?
I mean, technically, the people who got kicked from work, I would say, yeah, I think that's fine. But you- Yeah, yeah. It's not that bad. Like, really.
We're not going to does that bad. The other people are still.
Yeah, like, it's like not, like, it also, like, it's not complicated, but versus like 100.
All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Awesome, Andrea, if you don't mind leading us in first.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Spirit, amen. Thank you, God, for another day of life. We ask that you keep guiding us and in stressful times. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners.
Thank you. We'll start with roll call.
Awesome. So today, questions, describe yourself in 1, possibly 2 words. So James Barrett.
Here. Tell me my word.
Madison Dutchfield.
Kind.
Matthew Dunn.
Here, normal.
Kate Showman.
Here, Sunny.
Alex Mitchell.
Here, a person.
Urban Assume.
Here, I said funny.
Row or proxy. Is that your word?
And, Sam, do you mind, and all the proxies too, sorry, we haven't been doing this past meetings, but would you mind just saying like your name, dorm, nerd name, intro?
Okay, sure. My name is Sam Godinez. I'm from Dillon Hall, a sophomore majoring in political science.
Matthew Wick.
Here, hard work.
Henry Kellen.
Here, average.
Justice Walker.
Here, kind.
Zach Taylor.
Here, tired.
Lauren Whitlash.
Here, loyal.
Laura Clements.
Here, chatty.
Claire Hurd.
Here, treated.
Matthew Monte.
Here, Matthew Monte.
Tommy Sticks.
Here, burnt out.
John Knott or proxy.
Here, proxy for John Knott, name's Colin Larson from Knott Hall. One word to describe, I guess 2 words to describe John Knott would be not here.
Anna Beck.
Here, excited.
Andrea Jacko.
Here, genuine.
Lindsay Lark.
Here, happy.
Jack Super. Or proxy. John Carl O'Donoghue. Or proxy. Joseph Leopold.
Here, honest.
Samantha Ishmael.
Here, positive.
Sophia Gershon.
Here, happy.
Grace Lynch.
Here, ready.
No. Or proxy, no. Charlie Griffin.
Here.
Andrew Canfield.
Here, Stevens.
Dorian Kirchhoff.
Here, Cesar Ladder.
Francesca Lichtenberg,
Here, Kate Reynolds.
Yahoo Ujulari. Or proxy. Lulu Romero. Or proxy. Rose Nguyen, or proxy.
Here, my name's Andrew Ryan.
Molly Schwartz.
Here, happy.
Alea Aslan.
Here, Loving.
Bel Marquetti. Or proxy.
Oh, proxy.
Nice. Aubrey DeStefano. Or proxy. Okay. James Schoen. Or proxy. Ian Show.
Oh, so, sorry, it's the new off
New
campus
off
people, sorry.
Okay,
It's at the bottom.
perfect. Patrick Mulligan.
Yeah, sorry, Patrick.
I was like, there's no one. Okay. Walker Bagley.
Here, abstain.
Okay. Emma Herron. Or proxy. That doesn't, if you're a member, you can't proxy for someone else.
She's not here.
Okay, thank you. Michaela Copley. Or, okay. Andrew Kim. So then we go to Harry Wyberg,
Here, I'll go with Tom.
Anna Tierlick, Mark Mitchers,
Here, a little, awesome.
Hunter Brooke,
I think Mo will support this one. I would say verbose.
Yes.
Dawson Kaiser,
Here, enthusiastic.
Maeve Miller,
Here, kind.
Thomas Musgrave.
You're sleep deprived.
I'm gonna go hoping to be rested in the future. And Mel, what about you?
Ready to be done.
All right, awesome, thank you, guys. Yes?
Sorry. Jackson. Here.
Okay, awesome, thank you so much. Yes,
President, I would like to make a correction in the minutes.
all right,
General orders, item B, section C, Anthony Pilato's name is misspelled as Anthony Gulato.
thank you. Yes,
On page 5, item
yes.
That needs to be voted on.
Oh, excuse me, sorry. Thank you. We will now vote on that amendment to the minutes. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstain? All right, it passes. Yes,
I want to amend for, on page 5, section D, nomination for vice president of peer advocacy, C, instead of Diabo Ojoy, I asked a question, so change that to Organisumu.
Okay.
do I have a second? Okay, we will now vote on that amendment. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstain? All right. Any other amendments to the minutes? Yes, Matt. All right, we'll now vote on approving the minutes. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstain? The minutes are approved. Awesome. Executive announcements, I just have one. So last week, as many of you guys may have seen, and as you may know, because I mentioned it, executive cabinet through our departments of student life and communications is required to put together a student life survey due to the Senate bylaws and administer it for 1 full week during the months of April and October. Yeah, so so we've compiled, so that was administered last week. It was distributed via the all school email that Dawson sent out on the 22nd. And if you'll see there, I've linked the report there for you guys. Does anyone have questions about this report? Anything in general? This is meant to be used as a tool for you guys when resolution writing, etc. And if questions occur to you after this meeting, you're more than welcome to shoot me an email. Any questions right now, though? Yes, Andrew.
I just had a question, like, so this was sent out to everyone, there's only 60 responses, I'm just curious, like, your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, there were only I don't really have any comments on that. There were just only 64 responses to the survey, but it was sent out to the entirety of the undergraduate student body. Yes, Sam.
So some of the issues that were listed here, such as cultural education or some like Stuka events being planned at like inconvenient times, are those something that the executive cabinet is currently working on?
Yeah, so we're definitely going to take the feedback of the student life survey. You know, this report is meant to be distributed to the Senate, but this will definitely be passed along to the respective departments as well. And we always welcome student feedback so that we can be best reflective of the interests of the student body. Yes, Matthew.
Thank you for responsive, like,
Yeah, so this is the first year that this survey has ever been administered. This is a relatively new amendment to, is it not the bylaws, Hunter or Thomas? It's the bylaws. So this has been a recent amendment and this survey has never been done before. So we're actually the first administration to actually complete this survey. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Like when I looked at the thing, some of the events are like SAO events, not really like executive cabinet events. Like, is it like a way like executive cabinet is not part of SAO?
Yeah, so when we administered this survey, literally what you guys see is like what the survey looked like. So those questions. So if students misinterpreted what the question was asking or got our events confused with SAO, there's really no way to like avoid that. I was just trying to put in the best way I could paraphrase, like the direct student feedback, just so you guys would have the most transparent results I could possibly provide you, if that helps. Any other questions, or we can move on to the State of the Union? All right, awesome. Thank you guys. Dawson? Go ahead.
Hey everyone, so I'm about to give State of the Union. This is something I will do 3 times throughout my term, once now, once in November, and then once towards the end of our administration's term. So this is really just taking a pulse of the student union and just providing our comments on it. So here we go. To the Student Senate of the University of Notre Dame, Duloc. First, I wanted to say congratulations and thank you to all of you for the positions you are in. Serving as student senators for the University of Notre Dame is an honor. You now represent the interests of your dorm and the larger student body. You, as the Senate, have the great privilege to drive change that elevates the student experience and cater to their needs. I trust that all of you will use your positions to respect and honor Our Lady's University and her students. To the non-voting members, thank you for your leadership in your respective student groups. We have an incredible group of leaders in the Notre Dame Student Union, and I'm thrilled to continue serving Notre Dame students with all of you. As for student government, since our election in February, the Kaiser Miller administration has been meticulously preparing and beginning our work in service of the student body, with endeavors including, but not limited to, 1, the successful transition of power from the Jung Resner administration to the Kaiser Miller administration on April 1st. 2, forming our executive cabinet through an extensive interviewing, selection, nomination, and approval process. This includes our chief of staff, student union secretary, executive controller, and 23 department directors. We also onboarded and trained everyone in our cabinet, introducing them to the responsibilities grounded in respect, dedication, and family. We also began weekly cabinet meetings chaired by our amazing chief of staff, Allison O'Connor. 3, the successful beginning of a new Senate, chaired by our fantastic student body vice president, Maeve Miller. 4, meeting with various administrators, including President Father John Jenkins, President-elect Father Bob Dowd, Executive Vice President Shannon Cullinan, Vice President of Student Affairs, Father Jerry Ollinger, Vice President of Undergraduate Studies, Father Dan Grudy, Associate Vice President for Student Development, Brian Coughlin, and the wonderful Director of SAO, Maureen Doyle, and many, many more. 5, building out each department with department members, all of whom went through an extensive application and interview process led by their respective department directors, including assigning senators to their respective departments. 6, finalizing the student union allocations and budget through the Committee on the Budget meeting, chaired by myself. 7, hosting several events during the last full week of April for Sexual Violence Awareness Month, including the tabling to raise awareness for Denim Day, Sweets for Survivors Bake Sale event, and Denim Day programming on April 24th. These efforts were spearheaded by our Director of Title IX Women's Initiatives, Lena Doherty. I, along with the Holy Cross and St. Mary's presidents, also had the opportunity to MC the Tri-Campus Community Take Back the Night event. 8, collaborating with all 4 class councils to host a field day on South Lawn. 9, administering the student life survey and compiling the results to be presented to the Student Senate. 10, updating the student government website, including the progress tracker, to reflect the initiatives of the Kaiser Miller administration. This endeavor was spearheaded by our Director of Campus Technology and Innovation, Evan Arsenal. Thank you for entrusting Maeve, Allison, the Executive Cabinet, and myself with these positions. The State of the Union is strong, and we promise to work to our fullest capacity to serve the incredible Notre Dame student body, so help us God. Please do not reach out to us if you ever need anything. Know of my prayer. Please do reach out. Please do reach out. Please reach out. Thank you. Thank you. Please reach out if you ever need anything. Know of my prayers for each and every one of you, that the Lord may guide you through the rest of the year and all that is to come. I ask that through it all, you remember to stay grounded in Jesus Christ. God bless you all, and go Irish. This concludes the April 2024 State of the Union Address.
Guys, now we have a presentation from Anna, so I'm gonna pass down for a second. And I'll let her kind of explain, what this presentation is about. Hey guys, my name's Anna Tierling. I'm the president of the Club Coordination Council for the 2024-2025 term. I'm just here before you guys today to give a quick introduction to the CCC and some reminders of how the CCC can be of assistance to you going into summer break and to the clubs that you have in your constituencies. So to get started, so just a quick overview of what the CCC actually is. So we are ourselves a branch of the student union, and we are tasked with the mission of helping clubs succeed. We aren't SAO, we aren't ourselves a club, rather we're a group of student union leaders that are basically making sure that every single undergraduate club on Notre Dame's campus has the resources it needs to be successful in its own mission. To talk about more specifically what that looks like, that means that we are responsible for club funding, helping clubs navigate relevant policies, we're helping them out with their officer transitions, and basically cultivating relationships between the clubs on our campus and some relevant offices and departments, again, across campus. We're active on social media. Come check us out. Also check out our website and look out for emails from ccc@ne.edu, as that's our primary method of communicating with clubs. To talk about more specifically what it looks like to promote successful club life at Notre Dame, it helps to have some perspective on what that actually looks like. So as of this morning, we had 326 currently active undergraduate clubs. What that looks like in a single semester in terms of activities is about 3,500 approved ND Central requests in a single semester. Again, that is approved ND Central requests, and that's only in the fall 2023 semester. Our clubs are incredibly active with a wide range of activities. We have everything from athletic events to career panels to service events. Basically, if you can think of it, odds are there's a club on our campus that's working on it. We kind of categorize that diversity in club activities through 6 divisions. Each club corresponds to a given division. These 6 divisions are the academic division, the athletic division, the cultural division, performing arts, social service, and special interest divisions. And to make sure that every club has the representation they need to succeed, the CCC's own internal structure also corresponds to those same divisions. So to talk about how the CCC is set up, we have a 4-person executive board. That's myself and 3 other members of my team. Each division has its own division chair, and that chair is basically the primary point of contact between a given club and the CCC. Each of those division chairs is also accompanied by a number of division representatives, up to 6 division representatives. And these people are basically the CCC's boots on the ground to correspond with clubs, to navigate them through any policy they need. They're also the people that are being the primary reviewers of any funding requests. So that's kind of the relationship between the CCC and the clubs themselves. I think it's really important to note that each division representative is actually a member of at least one club within their division. And again, we do this to make sure that every single club on campus is represented by a person that understands what they need and can advocate for those needs to the rest of the CCC when it comes time for us to make our funding decisions. In terms of what the CCC has been up to recently, going back to that initial list I started out the presentation with, we've basically been doing all of it in the recent weeks, but our big thing has been managing club funding, specifically through our spring allocation process. I'm not going to get into club funding super in detail, but I just want to give a quick overview of where that money comes from in particular. So every student union organization receives money from, and that includes clubs, receives money from these three sources. So it's the student activity fee, which is a line item on your tuition statement. It's also a portion of the proceeds from the shirt charity project and a portion of returns from the student union endowment. Clubs get a minimum of 40% of that overall pool. And I want to make it extremely clear that we at the CCC do not retain a single penny of that 40% for our own internal operating purposes. Every single dime that we receive of that 40% goes towards supporting clubs in some manner through our allocation process. The majority of that allocation happens through our spring allocation event, which happens in April every year. The goal of this process is to get clubs financially set up with everything they need for the coming year. In spring 2024, this past April, what that looked like was reviewing 101 funding applications, which amounted to approximately $1.4 million in projected expenses. And to be clear, that's post some CCC adjustment. The raw number is much higher. And it's making that $1.4 million work within the 40% cut that we're given, which this year amounted to about $385,000. It's an extremely detailed, extremely meticulous process. Again, I'm not going to get into it right now, but I'm very, very happy to walk you through that. What that looks like in more detail. Just let me know. So again, I realize we're all getting ready for summer break, so I just want to finish by talking about how the CCC can be of immediate assistance to you guys as club leaders, but also to the club leaders that you have within your dorms. So the main thing that we can do right now is help out with officer transitions. I know that club officer transitions can be really complicated. So if you're aware of a club that needs any help in promoting continuity across leadership transitions, anybody that has any questions on relevant CCC, SAO, rec sports policies, or is just confused about their financial status, how much money they have, how they can access that funding, let me know. I'm happy to help out. Likewise, I'm happy to help out with any additional funding requests that are needed. We completely realize that plans change. Sometimes clubs have ideas for new events, or they have a pre-planned event that turns out to be way more expensive than they originally anticipated. Like I said, we get it. We want to help out. We reserve about 10% of the 40% cut we receive to be able to help out with that throughout the year. Clubs can access that money through our contingency fund, our loan process, or our winter reallocations. Again, have them reach out to ccc@ne.edu with questions about that. Likewise, I just want to finish by talking about collaboration. So as you guys might have noticed in the student life survey, there is actually something about event collaborations as being one of the requests from the students on campus. So I just want to finish by talking about the ways that CCC promotes collaboration. We found that typically clubs tend to see the most success, and really any programming set tends to see the most success when it is a collaborative event. So to that end, we have two ways of promoting collaboration. One of them is our own CCC internal collaboration fund that's exclusively for events that are co-hosted by 2 or more undergraduate clubs. If there's an event that's proposed between a club and a student union organization or a dorm, then we can help you access the funding to support that through the FMB Collaboration Fund. Again, any questions on any of this, please reach out to me. I'll be watching the email ccc@nd.edu all summer long. I'm extremely happy to help clubs as they plan for their coming events throughout the summer. I'm happy to have a Zoom call, reach out via email. Yeah, just direct them in my way. Best of luck on finals, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, Anna. That's awesome. Okay, and just to be clear, the CCC is required to give kind of an update presentation like what Anna just did once a semester. So never fear, the CCC will be back in the fall to give another presentation about club funding. So thanks. We're now going to move into general orders. Our first order is SO 242508. Okay, I can read this if there's no motion to. Oh, yeah, Lindsay. All right, we will now vote on dispensing with the reading. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstained? The reading is dispensed with. We are now in questioning.
Motion to move out of questioning is debate.
Okay, I need a second on that motion. Okay, we will now vote on moving out of questioning and into debate. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstain? All right, we are now in debate. Yes, Andrew. Where are the bylaws? If you look up Notre Dame Judicial Council,
So the same as last year.
oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot we're in debate as well, so, okay.
As-
Thomas,
As a point of debate,
sorry,
they are listed on the J Council website. We did have one amendment, as part of the large kind of constitutional thing, last week, which shifted the oaths of office from the Constitution into the bylaws. I believe, unless Hunter can correct me if I'm wrong, everything else is the same as it was, at the end of last Senate term.
Hunter,
My memory, that is true. I will say the Judicial Council website is currently undergoing a little bit of construction, fortunately, but the most up-to-date bylaws can be found if you go on our website into documents and then governing documents. Scroll down to bylaws of student senate. Those are updated as of April 24, and so they include all of the most recent changes that have been made.
any other,
If you need help finding that, Andrew, or anybody, just let me know.
any other points of debate? Yes,
Motion to move out of debate into a vote.
Second.
we'll now vote on moving out of debate and into a vote. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstain? All right, we will now vote on SO 242508. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstain? It passes. Awesome. Thank you, guys. We'll now look at SO 242510. Yes. We will now vote on dispensing with the reading. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstain? The reading is dispensed with. We are now in questioning. Yes, Andrew.
I just had a question. I was curious your decision to, have the author bold the name. Can you explain that?
Yes, I can. So that is one of the very few tweaks that is being made to current practice and by this language. It's something that has been done in the past and the previous judicial council officers have advised because it clarifies, right? Like it clarifies the distinction between who is who for posterity's sake. Because sometimes there is a pretty strong difference between the people who have put in time to write a very long thing and the people who are very fairly co-signing it. So really, ultimately, the hope is that just helps to clarify who's kind of involved in doing what. Right, because I mean, especially looking back, you don't want to reach out to someone and be like, hey, I saw you were like an author on this. Can you have some insight? And have them be like, well, no, actually, I just signed it. So it helps with that verification. Does that answer your question? Great.
Yes.
Motion to move out of questioning into debate.
Second.
We will now vote on moving out of questioning and into debate. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstain? We are now in debate. Yes, Sam.
And I think on that page 6 to remove, and letter and replace it with a letter. It's pretty grammatic.
Could you tell me where that is? Sorry.
Page 4, C3, example.
Yeah.
Letter.
That's changed comment?
Yes.
Great. All right, accepted. Thank you, Sam.
Yes, Matthew.
I would also like a friendly amendment, for the resolve that, because I personally think it's unclear what happened to legislation that doesn't fit the code. Just to say any legislation that is found to not fit this legislative code by the parliamentarian and or student vice president will be sent back to the original authors to align it with the code.
Did you say student vice president or student body vice president?
Student body vice.
Let me type that out really quickly. So further resolve that any
Legislation that is found to not fit this legislative code by the parliamentarian and or student body vice president will be sent back to the original author, parentheses S of the parentheses to align it with the code.
by the parliamentarian or
And or, yeah.
body vice president is what?
Will be sent back to the original author, parentheses F to align it with the code.
To align at. All right, Thomas, what do you think about that?
I personally have no objection to that.
All right, neither do I. Let me put that in, Matthew, so you can make sure you're comfortable with. But yeah, I'm doing that. So I'll do it all the way at the bottom.
All right, while Hunter's doing that. I'll hear Madison's point, but
Can I friendly amend your friendly amendment?
Sure.
Can we change and or to just and, because I think that makes it a little more clear on who's gonna be
Well,
in.
it'd be like if the parliamentarian said that the vice president doesn't, then it would also be sent back.
I don't really get that message just from reading it. I think and would kind of provide more clarity as to.
okay, Andrew.
I think putting the word and would just make it the two people to the same goal, and I think that's kind of not worth their time.
Then just or, so that's,
Are
Just
you
one,
wanting
or
to
just
make,
choose one of them?
did you make a friendly amendment?
I don't know.
Are you proposing that they friendly amend the friendly amendment to
Well-
say,
I just, it's
Yes,
a point of
Hunter.
order, that friendly amendment was already approved, so
Okay.
what you would be doing.
oh, she would just be
amend-
friendly
an-
amendment?
Another friendly amendment to the language that is already there.
Okay,
All right, friendly amendment to amend it to or.
No objection here.
All right, I have no objection to that.
Sam.
Point of inquiry, does that mean that any legislation that doesn't fit exactly with the code will be sent back to the author? Because like, what I fear is that basically legislation will be shut down or will delay for a week until it's approved, which just seems kind of unnecessary.
Hunter.
I would say this is not something that we included in this originally. I think that to be the case, absolutely. If you want to friendly amend this out, you're welcome to do that.
Yes, Grace.
Let's move on to a vote.
Bro.
I object.
Oh, I need a second. If there's no second, then. Okay, we will now vote on moving out of debate and into a vote. All those in favor? Can you raise your hands high really quickly? 1, 2.
9, 5, 10.
Okay, all opposed?
4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10.
All abstain? All right, the motion fails. We are still in debate. Yes, Sam?
Friendly amendment, friendly amended. Further, it not that any legislation that is found to not fit this legislative code by the parliamentarian or student body vice president will be corrected by the parliamentarian himself.
I object to that.
But here's, I'll say why, my concern would be, I don't want to be accidentally doing something that an alderman.
Emails gonna be sent out at like the next day, so then eventually they're gonna have a short time between like 9 AM and 5:30 PM until the agenda gets sent out. And then like then, like, say for example, one paragraph that they don't type out below the co-sponsor is just gonna get sent back, like it doesn't really affect the difference.
Yes, Hunter.
I would just reiterate, I don't care about what this exact language is, but I would feel personally uncomfortable if we were given the authority to change other people's legislation. Like, I would want to make sure we were not doing anything that other people weren't comfortable with. So I would not be in favor of that. If you wanted to propose a different friendly amendment, I'd be fine with that, but I think both Thomas and I are probably actually in agreement with this.
Justice?
That's like a point of debate, like how strictly is this gonna be enforced? Because I do also share like the fear that this might like, if it's like super strict on like exactly how people are formatting their like resolutions, like that might like make people nervous to write a resolution if it's like their first time.
Hunter?
So I'll say, I think that's a very fair point. I mean, I think that the reading of the language that has just been put in, which again, was not put in by me or Thomas, but the language that has just been put in, could read it to be, right, not fit means not fit in any way whatsoever. So strict to the max.
Thomas?
I'll also say that one, I think in practice, the only major change that I saw from practice is the like bold thing. So it's still keeping the same format as legislation is. 2, I'd be more than willing if you send me legislation early to give that first check, make sure everything's good, so that it still can get on the agenda in the week that you want.
Are there any other points of debate? Grace?
We'll try again. Motion to move out of debate into a vote.
We will now vote on moving out of debate and into a vote. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstain? All right, we will now vote on SO 2425-10. All those in favor? Okay, all those opposed? All abstain? All right, it passes. We'll now look at SO 242511. If there's no, yes, Lindsay?
Motion to dispense with the reading. Second.
We will now vote on dispensing with the reading. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstain? All right, the reading is dispensed with. We are now in questioning. Yes. Jessica.
I had a question on the last, like, part. The Senate pure petitions, like, as it is in the Constitution, don't, like, senators, like, I'm just worried that, like, this gives judicial council a lot of power to, like, shut down a petition that, like, students support.
Hunter.
So that is a great point. Are you talking about like students getting like 200 signatures to form a petition to bring to the Senate?
Yeah, I guess if you could.
So
just
this is a
kind of
completely
explain.
different thing. So like the idea is that is like a legislative petition outlined in its own article of the Constitution. This is like using the word petition, but as a completely different thing. So like it's very similar to how we say that certain candidates have petitions and they need to get a certain number of signatures for those petitions. Right? Like it's using the word petition, but this has no bearing whatsoever or effect on the petitions that I think you're talking about.
To further clarify as well, just to clarify like what this does is like essentially, so normally as it works now and has worked in past years, if there's an interpretive question on the Constitution, usually it is answered by email by the J Council president. So the J Council president essentially just says like, this is the rule, here's how we're gonna enforce it. This allows someone to essentially petition to say, hey, I don't think that interpretation is right. This then goes to the Judicial Council as a whole to sort of make that, to hear that petition. And yeah, that makes sense.
Two different petitions though.
Laura?
Why now? Has this ever been a thing for the J Council before?
Are you asking, has this whole thing ever been a thing before?
I'm asking whether this was the initiative of you as J Council president or past J Council
The
president.
whole part or certain parts? Okay, so I would say neither part are exclusively coming from me. I think that the specific names of roles might be more my thing, but I'm not massively attached to those. I'd say multiple Judicial Council presidents in past, including Thomas Davis, David Holmes, probably going further back than that, have recognized a need for greater historical awareness and consistency within the student union. So that's definitely something that we have really tried to do. I'd also say multiple parliamentarians have recognized that need and have tried to kind of work to build up some degree of historical publication, even though that's not in the job description at all. I'd also say that a lot of this language is definitely not coming from me. I have a former Judicial Council president who's kindly come to speak about this if you would like to hear from her as well. But no, it's not just sort of like Hunter thing.
Andrew?
Yeah, Article 7, Section 2A of the Constitution says judicial council can be imposed up, but then in parentheses, it says not limited to. So I'm just curious, like, what are your thoughts on changing the Constitution to like essentially fit the agenda in the same way, like we'd amend the Constitution to fit additional cabinet departments of administration?
Yeah, so thank you for that question. That is very fair. And that language is of course in many student union organizations, not just ours. So what I'll say is there are several clear advantages to including these positions in the Constitution. Obviously, there's the fact that they endure for a longer period of time because they cannot be removed as easily. They're more protected from the Judicial Council president, as an example, right? So like if you get a case where a Judicial Council officer disagrees with the president, you want to be able to give that person some degree of protection, which is afforded by enumeration. So like as an example, Thomas and I disagreed just yesterday on a question of constitutional interpretation. And let's say I disagreed with him egregiously and thought he's terrible, right? If he's unenumerated, I can just remove him from office. So it sort of provides that protection, whereas if it's in the Constitution, they'll need to go to ethics. It also means that the Senate gets a say in the people who are in the Judicial Council. I mean, to me, as a former senator, I think it's especially important that you all are able to influence who is on the judiciary and making those decisions. So it's sort of a multi-pronged thing as a way to achieve more permanence, more legitimacy, more protection, and then give the Senate an ability to help decide. That answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, just to follow up about that, like the bylaws state that they have to be, like, if this was in the bylaw, as they are, which I saw, like, it would still require approval from. the
Not
student activities
currently.
department. They're not currently in bylaws?
No, they are. Are you
If
saying,
changes to the bylaw will be from the student.
oh, the approval? Yeah, certainly, not the
Same
Senate.
thing as the judicial council president, you can just get.
So, right, I'm not saying that I could change the bylaws unilaterally. I'm saying a judicial council president could dismiss an enumerated officer unilaterally. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Matthew?
I have a couple questions. So in the process you outlined in, part 12, so you said the process would be, if this was passed, that someone who had a problem would email the J Council president, and then if they get a response they don't agree with, they would petition to have it heard by the entire J Council, is that correct?
So I'm not sure what you mean by,
Like the vote. Well. Article 12 is integrated to answer.
oh, sorry. So yeah, you're asking like what would the process for that look like?
Yes.
Yes, so the idea would be, and I have some other people here who can help speak on this, so I might get time to. The idea would be, as Norma said, in past constitutional interpretations, it's been kind of unilaterally made by the judicial council president. The idea would be now moving forward, the judicial council president or parliamentarian, an officer of judicial council can make a constitutional interpretation or can issue one on an as needed basis. And then if any individual disagrees or has concern with that interpretation, they can petition the officers of the collectively decide on what the interpretation should be. I'll give you a great example. And this is already something that's been done. So like recently we had the off-campus council elections, right? The Constitution says that an office holder must be present for their entire term. Historically, we've interpreted present to mean on campus, i.e. not studying abroad. But like, it's not extremely legitimate to have one guy, aka me, just say, nope, you guys can't run for this office because you're not present. So instead, what we do is we have me say, or someone say, well, this is the interpretation, is that you must be on campus. They said, we don't think that's a valid or fair interpretation. We'd like to petition the judicial council to hear it. They then fill out a form which provides, their reasoning, their argument, the relevant sections of the Constitution, and then we hear that question and go through everything that they've said. They're able to speak in front of us and talk about why they think it should go a certain way, and then collectively as a group decide in a much more formal way and then issue an actual opinion on that decision. So the idea is it's a more formalized, more democratic process that actually removes from the judicial council president more authority. Do you want to talk about? I'll give a bit of my time to Luke, who's our vice president of elections. I don't know if he has some comments on that regard.
Hello, members of the Senate. My name is Luke Monson. I am the Judicial Council's Vice President of Elections, and today we brought before you a piece of legislation that we believe is essential to the effective and efficient and operation of this, not only the Judicial Council, but the student union as a whole. Currently, right now, the Judicial Council President has the unilateral power to decide on matters of constitutional interpretation, and this is a concern for obvious reasons. It can be engineered by an ambitious person to shut down other opponents or to rule in favor of policies that they like, and this ultimately destabilizes the checks and balances of the student union. By this constitution, this legislation, I would like to note, is not giving any powers to the Judicial Council that it doesn't have. Everything that's mentioned includes powers that are already vested in the Judicial Council. It is not strengthening us in any way, destabilizing the student union in any way. Rather, it's a divestiture of the president's current powers among the members of the Judicial Council. I mean, when I first became the Judicial Council Vice President of Elections, I realized that the name Judicial Council is kind of a misnomer right now. It's really one individual, the president, who has unilateral control over decision-making. And when I think of the name council, I think of a group of individuals who work together on matters of constitutional interpretation. And what this legislation does is it allows us to work together like an actual court, court of appeals as in the United States in our current system, where we have a group of individuals of different lived experiences, different interpretations and understandings of the Constitution to meet together, to debate and discuss and cross-check one another so that when we actually make a decision, it takes into account all perspectives, all ideas, and it's not just one individual just letting his ambition take control over. If we have the entire judicial council making these decisions instead of one individual, you can have more faith that is done with integrity, that is done with consideration of all things that actually matter.
Okay, thank you, Luke. Thank you, Hunter. Just as a reminder, we're asking questions and answering the questions. There will be a time for debate, but thank you for your thoroughness, judicial council, et cetera. Andrew.
Yeah, I have a question. So you said that, currently the judicial council president has this power to reject, someone's, whatever they're petitioning, couldn't that individual then send the president to ethics as a way?
So in theory, any individual can send any member of the student union to ethics at any time for any reason.
So they are checked on power then?
I think to a degree, you could say so, sure.
Do you have a response as well?
I would say it's my interpretation that it would be unclear whether a faulty interpretation by the judicial council president would be a constitutional violation. So I guess that's what I would say to that is, in my view, it would be unlikely the ethics commission would sort of find that unless it was something unbecoming of the student union.
I would agree, and I just wanted to also add, of course, that is like a punitive check, right? And I mean, as a judicial council, we tend to try to prefer, whenever possible, acting proactively to ensure things don't get to that point.
Matthew?
So just to clarify, currently, only the J Council President has the right to make decisions. And if it were passed, they would still have the right, but then someone could petition to get it like overruled. What would you?
I mean, in very simple terms, relatively, yes.
And then my next question is, could you just talk about why you feel the need for a student union historian in the VP of operations, why you feel expanding the J Council is important enough for this constitution?
Yes, definitely. So the historian role I already spoke on a little bit, right? I think that especially as a senator, when you guys begin to look at the Constitution and look at why things are the way they are, it is very difficult without a consistent historical thread, because there's no one in the student union who kind of has that historical role currently. We feel like we've identified a need that exists, not just within the Judicial Council, but also within multiple student union organizations, of really being able to track and establish archival material so that we can look back at the past and see how were things done maybe 6 years ago, right? Because as you told me, you often run into situations where people know 2 years ago, 3 years ago, but beyond that, the knowledge kind of fades as people graduate. So the historian, the hope would be an individual who can help retain that knowledge even after terms change and people switch over. The VP of operations, we feel, is relatively crucial to the success of judicial council. I think that we as a branch of government are very small and we have a very outsized workload for our size. I'd also say we really try to go as a policy kind of above and beyond what we are asked to do, right? So like the parliamentarian as an example, and I did this when I was parliamentarian as well, so it's nothing new, is always eager to meet with senators and discuss legislation, help them proofread, help them draft, help point them to relevant university administrators, right? Like none of that is required, you know? So the idea is basically we just are really strained right now and we cannot keep supporting everyone at the level that we're currently doing unless we're able to offload some of that capacity onto another person joining our team. I'll give you an example as well of why we think this is valuable, right? If you look at the executive cabinet, they have an executive controller and student union secretary. So they have like a person to manage finances and a person to assist. We have neither. If you look at the Hall President's Council, they have a finance chair and they have executive assistants, right? Same case, person to manage finances, person to help with the operation of the organization. Again, we have neither. If you look at sub, they have 8 directors with a director of finance and a director of operations. Again, 2 people for those roles. We have neither, plus 7 other committee chairs and 10 internal officer roles. If you look at the CCC, they have 6 division chairs plus a 4-person board, so 10 people, which includes a secretary and a controller, right? So we aren't even adding 2 more roles in place of the VP of operations, which would actually align more with what other student union organizations do. We are saying, let's give this responsibility to one person who can help us run the judicial council effectively. I'll add one final point, which is that I know I tend to talk, I said verbose, so you know. My one final point is, constitutional interpretation is hard, right? Like judicial council is really difficult. And looking from the outside end, it doesn't, I think, always seem that that's the case. But like electing 300 students each year is really difficult. And so if we're able to get people more involved in those things early on, they can learn how to do it and figure it out so that we're able to be even more consistent and more effective in our operations longer.
Andrew?
This is a good question. It doesn't seem that there's a timeline for nominating the vice president of operations like there are for the other vice presidents and the historian parliamentary.
Yeah, so I had hoped that this would have passed last week and I could have nominated people this week. That was not the case. So in theory, my hope is to now nominate them at the next Senate meeting, so as soon as possible.
You know, I'm saying like in the legislation.
Oh, I mean, it uses the exact same language to my knowledge as what is currently used for other vice presidents.
I couldn't find it here.
I can confirm that.
But it says in the Constitution. Each council president shall nominate the vice president of elections and the vice president of five each academic year. So
That may be a precise. Let me look at the language.
Okay, as Hunter's doing that, Thomas has a quick reminder for
Yeah,
everybody.
Quick point, so we need to have quorum in order to do business. We're currently 3 away from
Three
quorum, so
away.
Hunter, you could be a little more concise. And the second thing is just so everyone, you guys can stay to get this done, we would very much appreciate
We
it.
would really appreciate it because we cannot do anything without quorum and we still have just one other thing to look at. So please keep your questions and everything just, you know, we've been on this for a very long time now. So yes, Laura.
Just a quick question. Oh my God. Oh, is this gonna make you wanna add more officers in the future?
No,
Okay. Any other questions?
I'm being more concise.
Any other questions? Okay, Sam.
Yeah, so on the judicial council VP of operations, because I will be able to assist the presidents and other officers. And then you list some aspect like communication, financial, does that, could that also be interpreted as potentially helping with legislation?
Of legislation for who?
For the J council president.
Okay. Like being the person who writes legislation instead of those people? I'd say probably not. I think that as it happens, judicial council tends to write legislation together, and I think that would continue.
James.
I ask for unanimous consent and move the question into debate.
All right, is there any objections to the unanimous consent to move out of questioning and into debate? All right, seeing that there are none, we are now in debate. Sam.
I'd like to say that full support on both positions, and I hope to be very brief as possible. I'm a historian. I think that it basically says that we will have greater transparency and access to documents from other branches. I think that's extremely helpful, not only for senators, but just understanding the body as a whole. Personally, I personally would like to see where our tuition money is going, at least the $95 from the student activities fee. I would like to see where specifically it goes. I know that the Constitution gives a very brief, but I would like it to be more specific. And I also think that the VP of operations could be helpful in assisting other gay council leaders who are likewise extremely busy because like they have so many responsibilities keeping up with their grades. So I think the gay council VP of operations would be helpful. I will say that the only small bit of concern is that it would be assisting other officers, but I think this can all just be solved with a friendly amendment. I friendly amend to Article 12, section, I would add a friendly amendment to read, Article 12, section 3B, 5B is hereby inserted as follows, and all subsections and references thereafter and thereof are renumbered accordingly. The judicial council vice president of operations cannot fulfill any task enumerated in the Constitution from other judicial government officers.
I'm personally in favor of that.
So like the idea, as an example, I'll give you an example, right? So the judicial council VP of elections has to help run candidate meetings for certain elections. the multiple other judicial council officers already help with that, right? Like the parliamentarian helps with that, judicial council president helps with that. As a branch, we really try to avoid limiting things to certain people because we view the reality as we are more effective and more productive when people are able to work together. So my concern would be then the VP of operations would become so siloed that they would be effectively unable to help or work with any other judicial council officer on any of their responsibilities. Right, like I would say, I would hope that a VP of operations would be well versed in parliamentary procedure and able to help guide in that regard. I think that language would make that impossible. I would say, I would hope a VP of elections would be able to help with things like vote verification, right? Something that's currently done by multiple J council officers and is not fun to do. I think that language would make that impossible, so I'd be very concerned about that. And if you want to put that in for the VP of operations, put it in for the J council president, and you'll see the entire, ship will sink.
I know, but like, there are some tasks that are specified for specific officers, such as the parliamentarian that has to basically ensure that all the student union leaders are cleaned up by January 1st. What's stopping that from just delegating to the VP of operations?
But the language that says the parliamentarian must do it. I would say the language of the Constitution already says the parliamentarian, VP of elections, whatever, has to do this responsibility. It's theirs.
So then they're already doing what I'm basically.
Okay, I'm gonna cut this off for a second and just open it up to any other points of debate, and if there's no other points of debate, you can resume this little back and forth you have going on there. Yes, Andrew?
I'd like to propose a friendly amendment as an additional paragraph in the legislation. It reads Article 12, Section 3A5 is hereby amended as follows. And then it reads as it says now, and then add this president of operations.
I'm sorry, you lost me. Which one?
Article 12, Section 3A5.
Are you inserting?
So inserting shall nominate the vice president of elections, comma, the vice president of peer advocacy, comma, and the vice president of operations.
Oh, yeah, I'm fine with that, for sure.
The only concern would be that we wouldn't be able to do that this year because we have no more Senate meetings.
But I would say that's ex post facto.
I suppose that's
Well,
fair.
if the Senate can't review it, then
No,
No.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine.
I'll say yes to that.
Can we,
because it is
can we, so that we don't take time, can I circle back with you? We'll just assume that's in the legislation. I won't put it in until after. Can I circle back with you and make sure I get that in exactly as you put it?
Okay, Grace?
I motion to restrict debate to 1 minute.
Is that right? We'll now vote on restricting, yeah.
It's a motion.
unanimous.
Okay, we will now vote on restricting debate to 1 minute. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstain? All right, debate is now restricted to 1 minute. So, Thomas will keep time. You'll have,
is that per speaker or total?
I interpret as first speaker.
First
Is that correct? Jordan?
your speaker's fine. Okay. Yes, go ahead.
I spoke with Thomas about this. He broke it down. I think that it's just a big quality of life thing, especially for judicial council, especially for Thomas. And people who are devoting a lot of time to assisting us. So if you establish other positions to help take some of the stress and pressure off of him, especially since I know he's worked a lot of, hours that are kind of unreasonable in the last 2 weeks, I think it's just something we should definitely pass. And there's also obviously more people before we don't have quorum, so maybe we should consider that.
Thank you. Any other, yes, Harry?
I just want to say, I'm the HPC co-chair, the last couple of weeks, we've done a lot of work, constructing our bylaws, doing things that now all the years graded, it'd be very helpful to have a historian, just has a record of how it's done before. It's almost 100% turnover every year of the group. It's we really don't know what happened even 2 years ago. I ask people very often, I get to back, and it's something you get.
Yes.
Ultimately, in an institution where the most we can have any individual person is 4 years, it's really critical that we have at least someone to keep track of precedent.
Thank you. Yes, Anna.
Wholeheartedly agree over here from the CCC perspective. More transparency from the CCC is absolutely a goal of my administration. A historian would go miles to make that a mission a reality.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I was originally extremely opposed to this legislation when it came out, but I think now through debate and questioning and discussion before Senate, I think we have established strong precedent that adding positions to the Constitution is not just like something you can do without strong need, and I think there has been demonstrated strong need for a position, two positions in this case. And I think we've established that adding positions like this is not just something you could do whenever you want, and there has to be like strong reasoning for it by grilling them on this. And I know it took a long time, but I think that is important in this case. So I think now with that strong grilling over, I think I am in support of this legislation.
Yes, Lauren.
Motion to move out of debate and into a vote.
We'll now vote on moving out of debate and into a vote. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstained? We will now vote on SO 242511. All those in favor? Do you mind raising your hands really high? I'm so sorry. Oh, okay. All opposed? All abstained? It passes. Congratulations. I know this Senate meeting has gone on a bit longer than expected, but we do have a resolution in new business. And as a reminder, if this resolution is not moved up, we will hear it in general orders at the first Senate meeting in the fall semester. Yes, Alexander.
I seem to move the item to new business, out of new business and into general orders.
Are there any objections?
Are
Are there any objections to the unanimous consent of moving item A out of new business and into general orders? All right, seeing that there are none, we'll move that up and out. We'll now hear SS 242506. Yes, or
Motion to dispense the reading.
second. Are there any objections to dispensing with the reading? Oh, sorry. We will now vote on dispensing with the reading. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstained? The reading is now dispensed with. We are now in questioning. Yes, Laura.
Second.
We will now vote on moving out of questioning and into debate. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstain? All right, we are now in debate. Are there any? Yes, Andrew.
Yeah, since I wasn't allowed to ask any questioning, I would just like to make a point of debate, just out of curiosity, if of any conversations that took place with the Department of Building Services, anybody knows?
So I can say that we haven't, but the whole point of passing it now is so those conversations can happen during the summer, because this isn't something they can actively work on with students living in the dorms. And so you have these conversations of what it's look like for you to do over the summer. And we also don't know who to specifically go to yet until we just talk to them.
Thank you.
Yes, Matthew.
I would just like to say, when this legislation came up, I did some in the field research in the Keenan Hall bathrooms, and there were in fact no disposal boxes. So I think passing this legislation is very important to get the ball rolling.
Thank you. Any other? Yes, Francesca. We will now vote on moving out of debate and into a vote. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstain? We will now vote on SS 242506. All those in favor? Please raise your hands high, guys. All opposed? All abstain? It passes. Congratulations. All right, I have no announcements other than have a great summer. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Motion to adjourn.
Wait.
Oh, wait,
So,
recess
we
for the
We
summer.
need a motion to recess for the summer.
Oh.
Oh, I was gonna ask if they had any announcements.
Oh, well, that
That
too.
too.
Does
Sorry.
anyone have any announcements other than have a great summer? Yes, Matthew.
You're less than 300 days from the next meeting.
Great to know. Great to know. Yes, Laura.
We have to come back early. More information to come.
Any other announcements? But we will need a motion to recess for the summer. Okay, yes.
Motion to recess for the summer.
Okay, we will now go on recessing for the summer. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstain? All right, guys, have a great summer. Okay.